So, welcome back, guys, to another episode of Sled Stories. This episode is a special one. We have Tom and Ev from the Hampshire Snowmobile Association, NHSA, with us tonight. So, welcome, guys. Thanks for taking the time to sit down and talk with us for a minute.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Cool. So, we've been kind of like after this conversation for a while, right?
Yep.
Like this conversation has been, kind of in the bowels of the internet for the better part of the last 6 months or so, and we were thinking, what, we want to get some information from, essentially the source, right? There's a lot of kind of internet trolls out there and a lot of naysayers and both sides of the camp. So
a lot of opinions, a lot of people think they know.
yeah.
And
so,
who better to talk to than the people that actually know?
Yeah, so we want to kind of get the whole story, from you guys, and for all listeners out there who are just eagerly waiting to kind of hear it from the horse's mouth, per se. So, Tom, let's start with you. Like, kind of, what's your kind of your background with NHSA, and how'd you get started?
Well, so I've been involved personally with my local snowmobile club for, I'm going to say 15 years, if not a little bit longer. And one of our members of our club was also a board member and recently was president of the Snowmobile Association as well. My position is I'm the director for Carroll County. And that position opened up a few years ago. I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago. Tom asked me if I wanted to get involved with the association, and here I am now. So I've been with I've been sitting on the board for a couple of years, and then last year, Ev asked me to co-chair the Race into Winter event with her and Roger.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So, and then obviously you guys are aware of, Roger passed away this year, so
Yes.
that left, Ev and I as the two chairs.
Yeah.
That left those were big shoes to fill.
Yes, very big, very big. So miss him dearly. I couldn't tell you how many mornings I woke up, late summer, early fall, saying I just wish I had one more day with him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's some heavy stuff. And then unfortunately, we never got the chance to meet Roger.
No.
But you can definitely
Emailed,
tell
of
his
course.
impact was pretty big.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's amazing what him and Ev have accomplished and built over the years.
yeah, absolutely.
Hats off to the two of them.
Yes, 100%. So Ev, kind of, what's your kind of your background with the NHSA and the association?
So I was a club president for, I don't know, about 15 years or so. During that time, I became a county assistant director, and then the director. And currently I sit as the vice president for the association, co-chair, obviously, of this event. Back in 2008 is when Roger became the chair of the event. And he gathered a committee together. I was one of the people that he gathered. And through the years, worked with him. When he became president, he couldn't chair the event. Asked me to do so with another. And, just had been working with him up until last year, as Tom mentioned, when we did lose him. And the advances that he's made through the event and where he brought it from 2008 to where it is now is like night and day. I mean, just tightened up a lot of stuff, but turned it into a very successful event and grew it with a handful of people who most of all of them are still engaged on the committee.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm trying to think of when our first year at Grass Drags was.
I think it was 10 or 11 maybe.
10 or 11, and we've just seen, just from our small perspective,
It
of the
grows
event,
so much.
it's gone leaps and bounds since since we were there over 10 years ago, and
So-
that's amazing.
So between Roger passing and obviously the changes of the show this year, you guys had your hands full.
We did, and as Tom mentioned, I mean, I worked closely with him, through the years, and his presence was definitely missed, and you could feel it. But to the committee, I mean, hats off for banding together and putting together another great show. Just working tirelessly to put all the pieces together, and to keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I know, obviously we tried to coordinate, kind of schedules, leading up to Grass Drags to kind of get a podcast with you guys, and obviously, you were super busy, living, breathing, and sleeping,
Literally
at the show.
I'd like to apologize for that as well. It was just the couple weeks before the event is just absolute chaos and overtakes our lives, and I know we tried to get together, but I apologize that we couldn't find the time to do it.
No need to apologize. I mean, we're going into it at a much smaller scale, but it's still weeks of work for us leading up to it, and the days are getting shorter, and you just wish you had more time to do these things. So we totally understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
And just as I actually go down there and I'm on site for 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time and a week afterwards, just trying to coordinate stuff and being sure that there's somebody there answering questions and whatnot. So as Tom said, it is crazy.
Yeah, and you guys. So, in case people don't know, it's an all volunteer event. You guys are doing this all on a volunteer basis, and from what I understand, a majority of you are staying there in RVs and practically living there for a week, 2, 3, even 4 at a time. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes, it is.
Yes, we live in our RVs down there, and it is volunteer. Everybody who works for the club or for the association is volunteer for their club. They are earning dollars for their club, not personally.
Mm-hmm.
And many of them take time away from, their families, from work. They take vacation or whatnot to come down and to see the event through.
Yep.
So there's a lot of time, spent that way.
Right, and that kind of comes down to just love of the sport, right? I mean, that's kind of the main motivator for anyone to do something like that, right? I mean,
it seems to be, sure. And you'll see our volunteers that come to the Grass Drags to work that event are the same ones that we see in a lot of the events that we hold, whether it's the trails meeting where all the trail masters get together, but other people from the clubs come. The ride-in that we have for Camp Snowmo, which is a camp here in New Hampshire for handicapped kids, the president's meeting, the annual meeting. It's a bunch of people that are just really engaged in their clubs and snowmobiling.
And for the majority, they're probably the majority of the ones that are out doing the trail work as well, grooming the trails, doing all the maintenance and everything else. Unfortunately, the volunteer pool keeps getting smaller every year, and not just on our end, but throughout the state with all the clubs.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it's a massive volunteer effort. It's all important to have people in clubs just volunteer and kind of put their time in if they love the sport. Like if it's a volunteer effort, then that's what it's going to need.
They love the sport, and they respect what the association does for the sport.
Right. And without the volunteers, it doesn't survive. It needs bodies. It needs people from every aspect.
So question that I have.
Absolutely.
So going back to like early days of the Grass Drags event, like what was the first year of Grass Drags? Do you guys know?
So the association took over. The NHSA took it over somewhere around 95. The clubs that were doing it before that, and I'm not sure exactly when, but I think it was sometime in the 80s, they asked the association to help them out with it, to take it over, because it was becoming too much for them. And some of the management bit, and, I don't know all the details, and I don't want to get into that part of it, but I know for NHSA, it was mid-90s.
Mm-hmm.
That
All
they
at
started
the same
getting,
location.
they got involved. Yes, at Peterson's farm.
So previous
there
to
in
that, it
Fremont,
was
New Hampshire.
so previous to that, it was just clubs basically banding together to put on a big fundraiser, and then that got to a point where they couldn't manage it, and then that's when the NHSA had to step in.
There was a person who was kind of managing it, I guess. And I'm going to say that perhaps he was the vendor coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that business was being done wasn't quite fair,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, for
Mm-hmm.
lack of a different term. And this is something that we hear all around.
Yep.
Interesting.
So once the association became involved, it started improving, working better for clubs, being involved, and just, as I said, building blocks for it.
Right.
move
It's like
forward.
it seems like the NHSA was like one level above, the umbrella of all the clubs, to kind of have one source of management. Seemed like it would be a good choice versus like having multiple clubs kind of coordinate the same goal.
Too many cooks in the kitchen versus.
Yeah, to kind of have one level of management. I guess that makes sense. I guess so to kind of lead into current state, like years leading into the current changes of this year, what were some of the big the big hurdles or the big issues that were leading up to the current changes of this year?
Well, I guess, Tom, I'll just take this for a minute. That
Sure.
We weren't quite aware that there were, a lot of big issues coming into it. Just pretty much business as usual. We meet with the town before and after to discuss any problems that we do have. Unfortunately, if these things were a problem, we weren't made aware of them soon enough to be able to effect a change on our part. And, decisions were made and left us where we are. Taking the camping away, and also the ability to bring your own alcohol in.
Mm-hmm.
But we should note that in that regard, there really aren't any venues around that you can actually do that.
This
You
was
know,
the
you can't bring
this
your
was
own
the last
alcohol
one.
in. Right. So, that's just a sign of the times, really.
Yeah.
In that place, we did put a beer garden in it. I think it went quite well. It was very successful.
Yeah, it's one of those things we've talked about just back and forth between our circles. And yes, like Grass Rags was kind of like the last sort of like unicorn of events that was still
BYOB.
Yeah, like that was just like, that we even talked to people outside of our circle, and they're like, really? And it's like, yes, that's the way it's run. And yeah, to your point, Ev, like it was one of the last events that we can think of that was like that. So yeah, sign of the times is a very good way of putting that, because we've heard things in the past, and it seems like this was bubbling under the surface for a couple years of changes coming. And is there any truth to that, or was there sort of like an event that set it off and said, like, because the I guess the theory out there is that the town kind of shut down the event as far as camping and alcohol. Is there any truth to that, or is that?
They did mandate, yes, that we would not have the general camping. Racer camping, vendor camping, volunteer camping, that's all still allowed, obviously. But the, just someone coming in as a spectator and bringing their own rig in, that was not something that was allowed this past year.
Yeah.
per them.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of what we kind of like came to think of, the kind of the conversations leading up was like, that seems, because again, just try to, obviously our main goal is to just dispel some of the theories that are kind of circling around. And there's also another theory about the drag racing being, people boycotting the grass drags. Can you speak to that a little bit as far as the pro racers coming to the show?
We'll let Tom take that one.
Sure. So last year we put we did a lot of improvements in our track. A lot of it didn't work out. We learned from our mistakes. We went in again this year. We put all brand new clay down for the second time. We actually tested the clay. It was sent out to UNH, and the clay content was almost twice as much as it was the previous year. Unfortunately, some of the pro guys, if that's how they're referring to themselves, decided they didn't want to come back this year because of the quality of the track and everything else. It's unfortunate because, our guys, and again, they're volunteers. I mean, we don't run grass tracks for a living or, clay experts or anything else like that. This is all just listening to what other people, are suggesting that we do for the track. This isn't something that we came up with on our own. But, long story short is, we fixed it this year. We had, correct me if I'm wrong, Ev, it was a world record on a sled this year.
Oh, really?
We had a young girl on a 120. She did 71 miles an hour.
On a 120?
That's awesome.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
12 years old.
That's awesome.
So the feedback
so
though was
everybody.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. So the feedback then this year was much more positive racing wise.
Oh, it was much more positive. I mean, the track was, I don't think there's any such thing as a perfect track, but the track was, much better than it was last year. All the racers that did come were happy. It's gotten back to, some of the other people that didn't come this year, and it sounds like, they're all going to, be back next year, or most of them are going to be back this year. And, we had a lot of fun this year. We brought amateur racing back. We had a lot of the guys that realized and understood that all this is, done by volunteers and appreciated that, came back and, helped us to get all of our improvements correct. And, although we didn't have the amount of racers show up as previous years, we think that with all the improvements that this year was very successful.
Right.
And we're looking forward to next year.
Right. Start seeing those numbers come back up hopefully next year. Because, I'm sure the word gets around like, oh, no, this year's track was actually awesome. Like, they all talk to each other, I'm sure, and they're, hopefully they're going to convince their friends to come back.
Yeah. Well,
we're already hearing that. And, I says everybody that showed up was fantastic. And like I said, they all recognize, that we're all volunteers doing this. We're not experts on track improvements, everything else, but, our team did a fantastic job this year.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I walked up there a little bit, and I mean, again, I'm not a drag racer. I couldn't tell you this from that, but I know my 11-year-old son thought it was amazing. So
Yeah.
he was blown away. So
I can tell you that they were breaking studs on the starting line.
Yeah. So that's good, Clay.
What was the world record speed and time?
For the 120 or
no, just for the overall record, you said.
Oh, so no, the record was broken by the 120. That was a world record.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. But I think don't quote me on this, but I think our track record was like 116, somewhere around there. And I think somebody hit like 114.9 this year. So
good.
Pretty close,
Awesome. Yeah. Let's hope that the kind of the naysayers that didn't want to come as far as the the pro riders can kind of like see the hard work that goes into it, and hopefully their tone changes and
Yeah,
come back next year.
Yeah, if any of them are listening, just talk to anybody that showed up this year, and we had it. Like I said, we had a really really good time. You know, there was there was good prize money. There was, like I said, the record was broken with the 120. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
It looked like watercross was pretty much standard. We saw every bit as many races as we normally do. That didn't seem to be affected much this year at all. Is that your feeling?
Yeah, I think watercross.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it went fine.
I think I sent a T-shirt into the watercross.
Yeah,
the pond.
Yeah, during the Ravex show.
Yeah, we tried to get a T-shirt cannon going, and if you don't band the T-shirt just right, it either goes 10 feet or it goes 200 feet, depending on how well the rubber band holds up. But so there may be a T-shirt in the bottom of the pond. But.
So another big change was swap, and I think Chris, who's your son Ev, who obviously helps keep things going over there, he told me that they had more swap spots sold this year than previous years. Is that true?
It is true, and I just want to back up for a second.
Sure.
You're not the only one who thinks Chris is my son. We're not related.
Oh, my apologies. I thought he was.
No, it's okay. It's like I said, you're not the first person to think that.
I wouldn't want him as a son either.
Hey, come on. Chris is a great guy, and I think he does a fantastic job down there.
He does but I we gotta still bust him.
Yeah, we all bust chops pretty roundly. So.
Yeah. So what was the question again?
About the swap area, because I did walk up there and I saw more swap vendors than I think I'd seen before, and there was still more room for them to come in. So going forward, it looks like that. I'd love to see that grow, because if you want to compare apples to apples, like heydays, swap is half the reason anyone goes, and obviously there's plenty of people out there that got snowmobiles and parts for sale. So seeing that side of it do okay, I thought was great.
It did, because had we kept the swap in the same space, we would have turned people away this year. There were roughly about, I think, 150 more spots marked out, with the availability to mark out even more if they were needed. They marked out, I think it was like 340. And it was pretty well attended over there. A lot of guys really loved it over there. And then you have the people that don't like change, so they didn't want to be over there. The one thing we heard was the walk to get there. But when you look at it and consider it, if you walk around the event, once or twice, that's way shorter than walking to the swap was.
Right.
It definitely spread us out a little bit more, but I don't think it did hurt us. Like as you were just mentioning, a lot of people really liked it, and they're looking at the potential for it to grow even more.
Well, and if I'm a swapper, I remember previously the swappers would be lining up. We get there early. They're lining up at 5:36 in the morning to get a good spot, and it's like now that there's all these more spaces, they don't have to rush to make sure that they get in. Now, basically, anyone could come at pretty well any time of the morning and get a spot, which is awesome. You're not risking being turned away, which that would be a bummer for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and the other part of coming so early is you might get in line at 4:00 in the morning, but you're not going to get placed in the field until the people can actually see to put you there.
Right.
So there was that, and it did take the traffic off of what we call pit road there that goes out to the grass drags and the watercross. So it did reduce a lot of congestion and confusion.
Yeah. So on that note, you kind of touched on it a little bit, Ev. But you might not know yet, but how is the attendance numbers looking like this year? Oh, did we lose you, Ev?
Are you still there, Ev? Or Tom?
I'm here.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, Tom, I'm not sure if Ev's still, can you speak to that?
Yeah, so it takes us a couple weeks to get all the numbers back. You know, we're not computerized as much as we should be.
Mhm.
You know, so I don't have those. Overall, with all the changes we had and everything else,
Mhm.
I was happy with the attendance.
Yeah.
You know.
I would definitely second that. Like we were talking again throughout the show, and it's, it seemed like a fairly normal grass drags year as far as like the attendance and the flow
Mhm.
of people. Like it,
Yeah.
we really didn't.
Unfortunately, Sunday, because of the weather,
Yeah.
And it was the same as last year. Sunday, last year, I think it rained all day Sunday. I mean,
Yeah.
this year, unfortunately, when the weathermen predict rain, whether we're getting it or not,
Scares people
you know,
away.
scares people away.
Yep.
It does,
Other than that, if we had a good day Sunday, or good weather on Sunday, I think the attendance would have been higher on Sunday. But
Mhm.
overall, like you mentioned, there was a lot of changes this year.
Yep.
Yeah.
And with the changes, um, Saturday morning, it was crazy busy. We were parking cars everywhere. It was,
Yep.
it was organized chaos.
Saturday
Yeah.
felt just like a normal Saturday at grass drags. It didn't feel really any different. We had lots of traffic, and obviously we talked to a lot of other vendors, and everybody was feeling the same. Like, oh, you did good. Yeah, everyone's doing good today. And I know the food obviously might have been down a tiny bit just because we don't have the campers, but other than that, it just seemed like business as usual to us.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to kind of like ask you about too was, I took it. Obviously, I had my son there coming down to do some child labor in our booth for the weekend. But what like the amusement park side of the event, which obviously new this year, what was the kind of the reception to that? I'm just kind of curious.
It didn't go well.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
what I
that's what
thought.
we thought.
Because we walked through, because my son was like, I want to go there. And we walked down, and it was kind of a ghost town. Like, I feel like the people, like, just didn't, they were like, I'm here for snowmobiling. Why am I going to go to the carnival? It was kind of.
So obviously with the changes and everything else, and with, the loss of camping, we were looking for revenue streams.
Mhm.
And they approached us, and, they asked to be at the event, and, just like any other vendor, there's a price to come there.
Yep.
But unfortunately, it didn't look like it worked out for them.
Right.
I wish it did, because, we were looking to see, if they could bring a couple thousand more people into the event that maybe just wanted to go to the carnival, or that was going to bring them into, we're trying to attract, a different crowd, just to get more people through the gate.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you got to try stuff.
Right. Exactly. Tom, hold on one second. Ev's trying to call me right now. I'm going to try to get her back in.
Sure.
I'm going to put on hold
Awesome.
real quick.
We'll just pause for a sec.
Ev, you there?
Hi.
We
I don't know
lost
what
you.
happened, but yeah, my cell phone booted me off.
Oh,
okay.
It's all good here. I'm just going to merge you back in.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're back.
We all together?
Hi.
Yeah, we were just talking to Tom a little bit about just the overall attendance, and obviously it's early and it takes a couple weeks. We were kind of just commenting on how the attendance seemed on par with other years, aside from Sunday. Obviously, it got a little rainy on Sunday, but it seemed like attendance was on par as from previous years. So I don't know if you had anything more to add to that, Ev, but.
Yeah, I thought Saturday was pretty well attended. Tom probably mentioned we were parking in every lot, and that's generally tells us, how we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So Friday was a typical Friday, and Sunday was a typical rainy Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, Tom. Did you mention when the weather predictions are calling for that, people tend to listen to that and stay home instead of venturing out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it's
And a Pats game at 1:00 that never helps Sunday either, unless people get there early.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the reasons to close earlier as well on Sunday. Instead of closing at 6:00,
Yep.
close at 4 o'clock and give people a little more time to pack up and go.
Yes, and that was one of the things on our list that we wanted to touch on was the new schedule this year. I feel worked out very well.
Yeah, we liked it a lot.
To kind of, because I know we talked, we were spoken with you, Ev, and I think Chris about kind of the changes to maybe move the 2 hours earlier on Friday, but maybe having 2 hours later on Saturday. And as Saturday approached, we realized that like after the 6 o'clock hour, it really kind of died out. And I think that is a direct link between not having camping and alcohol on site.
Yeah.
I think people just, end of the day, they're out versus
straggling around and walking around and drinking and
right,
because they're going to stay there.
Yeah,
so why
exactly.
they don't need to. They just walk around the show the entire day. It's their weekend.
Right, and selfishly from our perspective, the campers fill the walking lanes and they fill they fill the event, but they don't necessarily translate into sales for us because they're there and they're going to walk around until
it's
kicks
time
them out.
Until the cops make their passes and say everyone's got to go.
Yeah, so we want to give you guys 2 thumbs up for the new schedule. It definitely.
So
worked
you guys were happy with opening a couple hours earlier on Friday?
It definitely was a hustle for us. Yeah, that 2 hours we would have loved to have just for a little more setup. But yeah, traffic wise and everything else, we were big fans of it.
Yeah, I mean we can adjust kind of our schedule to better align with that. But we saw a line at noon on Friday, which was I was kind of thinking no one's going to be here at noon on Friday,
and there was a line.
There was a line,
yep.
and
there was a line at the gates. Yeah, we saw that as well.
Yep. Yeah, so we had people in the booth early, so it was all right. Maybe this is better use of time on Friday afternoon than it would be at Saturday at going to 8 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah. So one of the other deciding factors for not staying open later on Saturday is, again, with this event being all run by volunteers, it's a long day. It's a very long day.
It's a very long day.
And after Friday night, being open till 9 o'clock, and then anything past 6 o'clock, it's just it's tough. It's
100%.
It's tough on the help.
Absolutely. And
the other
go ahead.
piece with that too, though, is there isn't any racing on Saturday night, and the racing tends to keep them there.
Right.
So they're racing until 9 on Friday. Sometimes they go over, but Saturday they're pretty much done by 5, 6 o'clock. So there wouldn't be the draw to hold them in that respect either.
Right. And Ev, when you cut out, we were going over the carnival rides, and that's one of the myths that I'm very happy to dispel is, I saw it's a money grab by NHSA. They kicked out the SWAT people so that they could get a carnival in there, and I'm like, we come to find out that's not the truth. They approached you guys, and of course, like you said, there has to be a fee for them to be there, and you had already planned to move the swap anyway, so why not fill the space with something and give it a try? It didn't work. That's okay, but it wasn't anything malicious towards any other sect of the snowmobilers. So I kept seeing that, and that one irked me for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't understand why people have to be, malicious, especially again when it's a volunteer run event. It's it's a nonprofit organization.
Yeah, as
it's not fair
guys,
sometimes.
Right. When I was talking to you, Max and Ryan, during the event, we touched on that too. That the what the money is used for the association and the clubs, that participate and stuff, it goes back into snowmobiling.
Right.
In date. Nobody's getting rich off this, believe me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
it's one of those things that you have people who think otherwise, and that was kind of the whole main reason for this conversation was to kind of get some facts out there to kind of
whether the changes that were made were forced upon by the town or the police, or they were done voluntarily, or they were done for any number of reasons. It's all for the better of the show. It's to make it bigger and better and to generate more money for the clubs and for the NHSA. Like you said, you guys aren't getting rich. You're not making any money off this. This is to support snowmobiling. So, if you think you can do it better, volunteer.
No, I could agree with that 100%. And, some of the changes, unfortunately were forced upon us, and it's not like we didn't try to get some of that back and work with the town. There was 9 months of back and forth with meetings with the town, primarily to, get the beer garden approved. And,
Yep.
we would like to get, some of the camping back, and, obviously the BYOB, we knew that we'd never win that battle. Like we talked about the beginning of this, we were the last ones.
Yeah. We knew at some point it had to come to an end. It's just being the last ones and yeah.
Tom, do you feel that
to be honest with you, the feedback we've gotten has been so positive about it with the vendors and other spectators and everybody else that's been there.
Yeah, we could say the same thing. We didn't
miss the alcohol.
Yeah,
honestly.
There wasn't much of a miss there. Tom, do you feel that the town post show is happy with the changes? Like, what was their reaction after the show? Have you spoke with anyone at the town to say, just how it went this year? Or?
And that goes for the police as well too. Same question.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a wrap up meeting with the town last week, and at what was it, 15, 20 minutes?
Yes.
At the most. There was literally very little incidents.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, on all aspects. EMT, fire, police. So.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great news. It's as long as, happy life, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah.
Happy town, happy event.
Yeah.
As
happy town, happy grass drags.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy race into winter.
Yeah. So, this kind of the next topic here to kind of transition to is like kind of future plans. We kind of hemmed and hawed a little bit. I think with you, Ev, a little bit at the show, but like, what do you guys see on the horizon as far as like next year? Like what, obviously we talked on what worked, what didn't, but like what are some like changes that you think are going to be coming for, Grass Drags 2026?
Well, as Tom just mentioned, we may try to regain some of the camping. Obviously we know that carnival didn't work. It's a bit early to really put, things out there because we're just wrapping up this year and moving on to next, coming up with ideas and just kind of throwing some stuff out there and seeing, okay, what's going to work. We wanted to stay with more motorsports, things that are more exciting than that. That's why people come. It is the kickoff to the season here and other places, and try to keep stuff in line with that. It's like I said, it's a little early to tell, but we did ask vendors and you guys as well if you had some suggestions for us, and just any feedback to let us know. And as we consider things for next year, we take all that stuff, we spin it around, say, okay, can this work? Can't this work? Unfortunately, some of the stuff is probably going to require us going before the town again.
Right.
Hopefully that it won't take as long for things as it did last year. Tom and I both have a distance to travel when we go down there, so it does take a bit of time. And again, that's volunteer time.
Yep. Right.
And in fairness, if some of the ideas that we have, obviously we have to, like I've said, we probably have to pitch them through the town. So to bring them out to the public at this point is that favorable for us when we're dealing with the town? I think, they'd like to hear from us first and from the public on what we're thinking.
Right. Exactly.
So, and like I've said, we're literally, 2 weeks after the event. As of Sunday, we were still down there, cleaning up and getting the farm back to where we can hand it back over to the cows.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an enormous amount of work.
Yes.
Really commend you guys.
Yeah. Thank you guys for everything that you do.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, that's kind of the end of the list here.
Yeah, I didn't have anything else, and if there's anything you guys have or anything else you wanted to add or touch on again, we're all yours.
No, I appreciate the conversation, and probably not a bad idea before the event next year that we do this again. And I apologize again that we didn't get a chance to do it before this year's.
No, I like that.
Yeah,
that way,
if we want to do it, let's pick August or September. Early September.
Yeah.
So because as it gets too much later, like once September 1st hits, it's really crunch time. It's getting all the vendor pieces together. Who forgot a contract? Who are we waiting for insurance certificates from?
Yep.
Are we trying to fill a hole? And then it's physical work down there, putting up fences, marking out the vendor field. Just a lot of hands-on stuff at that point.
Yep. I was going to say
on my end, I have not been home one weekend since the first or second weekend in September, and November 1st is approaching this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
putting in some time.
That's a commitment.
It is.
Yep. That's a commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. Is like when we do part 2 of this for next year, we got to plan plenty enough ahead of time,
yes.
so we're not all scrambling to get this done, and we can revisit this.
Yeah, and that way, if there are more changes or more improvements or advancements or whatever that are coming next year, we can let the people know well in advance and have time to talk about those and let those get into the ether so that
build some
more people come. The show continues and things do well, because that's ultimately what I think all of us want.
Absolutely. It does. This event is extremely important for the association and our member clubs. I think we're at about 97, I think it is now, Tom?
Yeah.
At one point it was 105. We're losing some clubs, and I would say some of it is location.
Mm-hmm.
Southern New Hampshire, we're losing some. We're not getting the snow there. For whatever reason, people are dropping out. It's continuing, more. It's also, the buildings, the sprawl, getting higher and higher into the state. But
losing those trails.
Right. 97 clubs is still pretty strong.
Yep. Well, we can all kind of just hope that this winter trend continues.
Snow certainly helps. Yeah.
Yes.
Snow fixes a lot.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, and obviously,
if we have a good year this year, it I think we'll bounce back tremendously.
Yeah. Last year was great, but obviously the previous 3 years were not stellar. So, having a good one under our belt for last year and going into this year, after the drought that we had, we can only hope that there's precipitation coming.
This is going to be a good one. So.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So let us ask you guys, how did you do? What was your take on what we had this year?
I think we
honestly expected it to not be as good as it ended up being.
Yes.
We expected to be down more significantly than we were. We were only a very marginal percentage, but we still saw the same diehards, the same people that love our brand, and the same faces and the same vibe. And as a whole, we feel we walked away like, wow, this was a great Grass Drags. And obviously, pessimistically ahead of time, we were like, it might not be. We didn't really know, and we both walked away very, very pleased.
Yeah, we had many conversations leading up to it with obviously all the changes, and we're like, wow, we really got to buckle down our forecasting and our ordering for what we're going to do here, because we're going into it blind. We have no idea if this is going to be status quo, if it's going to be a ghost town, and it's going to be, the end, sort of the end of the show. Like, we really kind of were an open book of how it was going to go down.
And of course, all the comments online, you see all the negative and not the positive, of course, on the various, social media pages and stuff. And you're like, man, are people going to go? And I'm here to tell you they did. So if the people that did post like, oh, it was a ghost town, I don't know where you were.
Yeah. And we had a lot of people come up to us and be like, we had people that weren't going to go, and then at the last minute they're like, yeah, we're going to go.
Yeah.
Just a lot of the people who were holding out and saying, I'm boycotting, and then ended up going at the last minute because it's Grass Drags, you're going to go. What else are you doing that
If you love snowmobiling, you got to be there.
You're going. And so we had a lot of stories like that. But overall, I mean, we were kind of, not to say pessimistic, but we were kind of just erring on the side of caution for the whole thing and being like, I don't know how this is going to go. And pleasantly surprised. Obviously, weather was in our favor, which was the last piece of the pie. Was if the weather doesn't cooperate, then it's
tough.
But overall, we were pleasantly surprised that it was kind of status quo.
Yep.
So.
Well, thank you for that feedback.
Yeah.
That's important to us, on our side when we start looking at how things went, and feedback from our vendors is always important. It's one reason why Chris and I walk around and speak to all of you guys too.
The one thing,
stay on top of things.
The one thing that we were gonna give you guys feedback on was dust control.
Water truck.
Please. That was the one thing where we're like, that could really, because I know the roads were watered on Saturday night for Sunday, but Sunday rains, so it didn't really have a big impact. But yeah, having a water truck or some sort of dust control would be,
which that affects us as
So
vendors.
I've already reached out. I've already reached out to. Believe it or not, I had a vendor reach out and say, I didn't even think about it. He goes, I own a water truck. He says, let's talk for next year.
Oh, yes,
Beautiful.
Tom, thank you.
Excellent.
Because we were chewing on it by Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it was dusty.
Yeah.
But we'll take dust over pouring rain anytime.
Yeah, and aside from just like the nuisance of breathing it and chewing it, it just, for us it's product loss too. So we have all of our product out and it gets covered in dust, and then all of a sudden, someone doesn't want to, buy the product or whatever because it's covered in dust. And it's like, we try our best to keep it off, and then we had the rain on Sunday and we end up losing some stuff because the water got on it, and then all of a sudden it's mud, and then it's lost products. That's one thing that the biggest
as a vendor, obviously if you're a participant or if you're a attendance, that doesn't really matter all that much to you, but as a vendor it'll be nice, but it's already in the works, so we got nothing to worry about. I'll take
no promises, but we're definitely working on it.
Good.
Awesome. Cool. Well, guys, I think kind of wraps it up.
Yeah, I think we appreciate your time. You've given us more than we told you we would take. So thank you both very, very much. This means a lot to us.
So and it does to us as well. We appreciate you guys, coming in and what you're doing here, and let's put everything together and have another successful Grass Strikes next year.
Yes,
and feel free to reach out anytime with any other questions. Don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't wait till October.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to ghost you again, Max.
Yes, that's quite all right.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely we'll regroup and have an episode 2 before next year's Grass Strikes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
So awesome.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
Have a good night.
We'll see you.
Thank you.